What's up, everyone? Welcome once again to the channel. It's your boy Luis Portelles, and today I am bringing to you my full recap of Miss Supranational 2025. I had the opportunity, the privilege to be there in Poland from day one of the competition until the very last day of the finals, basically. So I got to see not only the arrival of the girls, the evolution, the activities, the preparation, the ups and downs, the divas, the nice ones. I got to see it all. And today I'm gonna spill some of the tea about the finals, what I think about the overall production, the cuts, those who made it, those who didn't make it, the actual performances on stage. This is going to be a mix of my basically description, but then also a little bit of a reaction, because I want to give you some of my insights when it comes to the Q&A and whatnot. So I have prepared a very fun and interactive video, so I hope that you guys are ready for it. Go grab your popcorn, your drinks, your leaderboard, so we can compare and talk about things. And as usual, if you find some sort of value in these videos, please go ahead and drop a like. Be part of the conversation in the comment section down below as well. Subscribe to the channel, and if you really like this and want to share with others, please do so. Share on social media, as this does help the channel so much. All right, so enough of me talking. Let's get into the actual analysis. And I think that as any recap that respects itself, we must start with the opening number of Miss Supranational 2025. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. This was an amazing opening number. I love the fact that in the very beginning we had kind of a mysterious vibe with Harashta appearing, being the first one on stage. I thought that it was a great way to showcase our reigning title holder, but then also allow her to have the spotlight for the very last time before the general public gets to see all of the girls on stage for the very first time, in case they were not following prelims or any other previous activities. So I thought that visually it was really stunning, as they had Harasha doing, a little bit of choreography with the hands, some movements. There were some up close shots with the cameras. We had everything with the blue lighting. It just created a beautiful ambiance, which ended setting the tone for the girls to walk on stage. The moment that all of the girls got to walk on stage was also particularly exciting, as they looked incredible in their white and golden looks. I love the fact that production-wise, everything was ready to complement these looks. We had the lighting, we have the video backdrops, we have the costumes, and overall, the golden feeling of this particular moment, as I am sure in their memories, is also going to be a golden memory. Girls did get to enter the stage in their continental groups, which I do appreciate. It's fun to have them all on stage at once, and eventually we did get them on stage all together. But in the very beginning, just for the sake of being cohesive and kind of making sense for the viewers who are watching the show from home, or those who just follow the pageant a little bit more casually, get to see which are the girls in each continent that are standing out, or who might be performing really well at this early stage in the competition. I will say that overall, for the first couple of minutes of the opening number, Supra delivered exactly what we would expect from a Miss Supranational show. Quality choreography, quality looks, flawless performance, what has been confirmed to be the biggest and most intricate stage of Miss Supranational so far. Because of all of those things, I have to take off my chapeau to the team and to the girls as well, because of course, without the girls, we don't have a show. I'm gonna take a short moment as well to compliment the hosts of the night, which I thought looked incredible from beginning to end. I did enjoy their chemistry. Sometimes they were a little bit more serious, sometimes they were a little bit more playful. They were not scared to insert a couple of jokes here and there, which I do think is necessary in this type of event. Otherwise, it gets a little bit too serious and too monotone. So I appreciate the fact that from time to time, they were willing to spice it up. When it comes to the backstage hosts for the Mr. Supranational show, which were Danny and Fez, our at the time reigning Mr. Supranational, I loved their chemistry as well. And I also really appreciated the fact that they never failed to deliver some insights into what was actually happening on stage. I did learn a lot about being a backstage commentator when I got to do it with Danny for the Mr. show, but that's for a different video. And I guess that this naturally brings us to the introduction round. For this particular moment, the girls were still wearing the same outfits that they had for the opening number. Everyone had sufficient time on stage to present themselves and also just to be showcased. All of these girls worked so hard to get to the final stage, the final moment, and have the spotlight on them at least for a couple of seconds. And I'm happy to see that every single one of the girls got that opportunity. This is something that honestly, I will praise the Miss Supranational team over and over again, because they really make sure that everyone gets their moment. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. In terms of the energy of the introduction round, I did have a little bit of a problem with it because I felt like the energy was quite low for the level of excitement that usually these girls should have when they are finally introducing themselves in front of the entire world. I mean, they are quite literally representing their countries. So I would expect a little bit more energy. I was watching the show live from the venue, so keep that in mind. And live from the venue, we could barely hear the background music that was playing. So the girls already had kind of a soft tone. And when you combine that with the low volume of the music at the venue, it just felt a little bit low energy. Now, of course, I did go and watch the broadcast later, and I did find out that the music was not an issue during this particular segment for the broadcast. So the music levels were fine, the volume, everything was okay. So I feel like the experience was maybe better for the people who were watching from home for this particular segment. But yeah, those were just my first impressions when it comes to this particular round. Listen, I do understand when it comes to the shouting of the names and the countries, I personally don't vibe with it so much. So what I'm asking here is not that the girls come out shouting and giving the most. We are not at Miss Grand, but rather that we kind of find a middle ground where it feels like the girls can showcase their excitement while at the same time maintaining a classy and poised presentation, I guess. Very quickly, let's move on to the next round in the competition, and that was the Global Supra-Fashion Show. Everyone brought their A game for this particular round, which honestly is just so much fun. It is also one of those rounds that I really attach to Miss Supranational. I feel like it's something that sets it aside from everyone else. And honestly, it just gives the candidates an opportunity to be seen under a different light. In every pageant out there, we get the swimsuit round, we get the evening gown round, but here in Supra, we also get this fashion show where the girls get to wear whatever it is that they feel they can identify with that is closer to their personality. And then also it is an opportunity to showcase the craftsmanship of designers from back home. So it's a spotlight not just on the girls, but also on local talents that could use the platform for more exposure. There were a couple of standouts for this particular round. These are my personal standouts and had nothing to do with the actual results during the night, so just keep that in mind. Some of my favorite looks during this particular round were Miss Brazil, Miss Bolivia, Costa Rica, India, Korea, Macau, Malaysia, South Africa, and Zambia. Regardless of those picks, honestly, there was no one on that stage that I thought, she could have done better. Everyone looked incredible. And I wanted to take a moment to highlight before I move on to the next segment of the competition again that by the end of the Supra-Fashion show, we were already 1 hour and 15 minutes within the actual show, within the actual competition. So I love the fact that, Supra wasn't really rushing the show per se in order to just get to the end or crown the winner. They actually took 3 different rounds: the opening, the introduction, and the Supra-Fashion show to showcase every single girl. So regardless of placements, of whatever happened, of the upsets, of this and that, nobody in the competition could say that by the end of the night they didn't get a moment to be showcased on stage, to get the spotlight, to just get the recognition that they deserved. Once again, when it comes to the super team, the production, and everyone who came up with the format, chapeau to you. Now, let's actually get into one of those difficult moments within the competition, and that is the announcement of the top 24. This is a make or break type of deal, as everyone aspires to at least place in a competition. Now, there are 24 girls, of course, who made the cut. So I'm just going to showcase them here on the screen just to make it easier for everyone to follow and kind of refresh your memory when it comes to those who actually made it. I will take the time to comment on a couple of girls who, in my opinion, were surprises and some shocks as well with this particular top 24. If there are other girls that you would like for me to comment on, please just let me know in the comment section down below. There were over 70 girls at Supra, so of course I don't have the time to comment on every single one of them individually, but I am happy to share some of those insights with you guys if you ask for it down below. So in terms of the surprises, I was elated, over the moon to see my girl from Nepal obtain a placement. I was talking to her national director before during the competition and whatnot, and one of the things that they mentioned is that they were really hoping for at least a placement this year, as this will be the very first placement for Nepal. So in a way, Miss Supranational Nepal this year managed to make history. And I'm so happy for her because she was such a consistent, beautiful, kind, intelligent woman. I got to interview her and I was over the moon about her. Also, I was very happy for Miss South Korea. I feel like in a lot of the predictions and just social media talks, she wasn't getting necessarily the recognition, but she was incredibly beautiful. She was a great performer. She always brought the A game in terms of the fashion and whatnot. So I was just very happy to see her make it to that finishing line. Another one of the very pleasant surprises was the placement of Zambia, who was another one of the countries who was really fighting for that first placement, for that first recognition. And I think that the candidate that they had this year representing Zambia was so consistent, so beautiful, so prepared, so kind. I just cannot give her enough praise. And I feel like she was one of the girls that I most definitely connected the most with during the competition. I feel like you guys saw it if you followed me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. We were always like joking around and whatnot. So to see her actually make the top 24 was a very happy moment for me. Now, there are a couple more surprises and shocks, but I will keep those for later as I announce the top 12 and the top 5. For now, I would like to talk about some of the shocks within this particular top 24. I will say the first and biggest shock for me was the fact that Miss Malaysia was unplaced. And right after this, when something like this happens, like a front runner or a fan favorite on social media doesn't make the first cut, you always have the theories online of people assuming maybe there's like a discipline problem, maybe there is like, an attitude problem and whatnot. There is nothing that I could point out about Miss Malaysia that would have justified an unplacement. I mean, this girl was beautiful, she was statuesque, she was so eloquent, she was so prepared, her background, her performance, everything was so perfect about her. I mean, honestly, I don't have any way to justify and tell you, this and that. One thing that you need to keep in mind about Supra is that there are fast track challenges which lead you to the top 24. So perhaps sometimes if you win one of those fast tracks and you might have not been like a fan favorite, you will take one of those positions. My only theory about her not being placed is that maybe she was outranked by one of those candidates who ended up taking a placement because of the fast tracks. But honestly, other than that, I couldn't tell you. I know that for prelims, one of the criteria was the beauty of face. And during her presentation in prelims, I did notice that the makeup was very dark. At least live from the venue, I was recording with my phone and whatnot. I remember her contouring was a little bit darker, but honestly, I don't think that's a deal breaker that will grant like a non-placement. So I don't know. If you guys have any comments on that, theories, whatever it is, please let me know down below. But to me, that was perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the night, or shocks rather. Another shock for me was the unplacement of Miss Supranational Nigeria. Come on, Paula. I said this over and over again. Paula was the life of the party when it comes to Miss Supranational this year. Hands down, one of the funniest girls. She was a ball of energy. She was a great performer. She was very involved in every activity, every challenge. You saw her even during the promotions of the sponsors all throughout the night. So I thought that Paula was the full package, from beginning to end. At no point I thought she's borderline not gonna get placed or something is going to happen. But again, I can only come up with theories and whatnot and think that perhaps some of those girls who ended up winning the fast tracks were able to outrank her in terms of actually making the top 24. I know that a lot of people were commenting online and saying that because of her energy and how much she had and how much of an extroverted person she was, that this could affect her in the competition. Quite honestly, based in my experience, getting to know the people behind Supranational, like the owner, the creative directors, and just the overall people, who have power of decision when it comes to Supra, this wouldn't be a deal breaker. The fact that she is extroverted and that she is able to express herself and showcase her personality is never a bad thing. So again, I don't have a way to justify the unplacement. I just thought I was shocked by it. Last shock of this particular cut for me was the unplacement of Miss Argentina, which, in fairness, I feel like she was not the girl who showcased her personality the most all throughout the experience. I feel like for the most part, she sticked to the girls that she was familiar with and that she was comfortable with. I don't remember her being like a social butterfly going from group to group and just mingling with everyone. But she was also a great performer. She knew when to show up. She knew when to peak. This is a girl with a lot of experience who competed in so many different pageant systems. So Although there was a little bit of that, not being so social with everyone, I did think that perhaps the experience and just the overall presence on stage would carry her. So I don't know. But yeah, I was definitely shocked by that. Again, let me know down below, you guys, if there are any surprises or shocks that you would like for me to address more precisely. These were the ones that I kind of wrote down and I was like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. Now let's talk about the swimsuit round, which everyone within the top 24 got to do. Well, just to keep it consistent with the Supra production, the girls looked absolutely incredible in the red swimsuits with the red globes and the red capes. I personally, as a little monster, a Lady Gaga fan, I loved the selection of the song. They went with one of Lady Gaga's latest hits from her album Mayhem, Garden of Eden. And talking about being a fan, I feel like our girls definitely had to face a huge challenge in this particular round, and that was the fan. Like the wind that they were throwing at these girls just to play with the hair, with the capes. I don't know if it was purposefully so strong because some of the girls struggled to, just to kind of maneuver with the capes and just give us like a girly aesthetic illusion, but for the most part, everyone pulled it off pretty well, I would say. Sometimes we had the occasional hair in the face, cape in the face, but for the most part, everyone looked beautiful. And performance wise, I mean, like if you look from the head down, just the technical part of the swimsuit round, I feel like most of the girls did deliver. Now that I gave everyone their flowers, I will mention some of the girls who managed to stand out in this particular round, in my opinion. Once again, I will go ahead with Miss Brazil, who looked incredible. Miss Costa Rica, always a standout. Curacao, can do no wrong. Philippines, a professional. South Africa, always selling the fantasy. USA, a supermodel. Zambia was flawless. Puerto Rico, such a professional. And United Kingdom, a quintessential beauty queen. Please do let me know down below if you agree with my standouts or if there's someone else that you would have placed on that list as well. Once again, it was time to narrow it down and announce the top 12 of the competition. Now we are cutting 50% of the delegates who made the initial top 24, and those who ended up making it are the ones that I will showcase here on the screen. Again, not to make it redundant and repeat everyone, but you guys can take a look to refresh your memory as I prepare to share with you guys some of the surprises and shocks of the top 12. To be quite honest, there were not a lot of shocks and surprises for this particular round. There is one surprise, and that for me was the placement within the top 12 of Miss Supranational Ukraine. And let me tell you this, a lot of people were commenting, in terms of performance and just technical skill and some of those like really specific technical aspects of the competition, I do feel like Miss Supranational Ukraine was lacking in comparison to some of the other delegates who ended up making it into the top 12. But in fairness, when you look at the actual ranking, if you reviewed the show properly, you heard that she made it because of the popular vote, the fan vote, which means that she won this position fair and square. It was announced since the very beginning of the competition that whoever wins the fan vote gets a placement within the top 12. So yes, although some of the technical aspects were not as polished as some of the other girls within this particular round of the competition, the girl won it in all fairness. So you have to give it to her, be happy for her, and keep it moving. There were a couple of shocks for me. The first one was Guatemala ranking only within the top 24, especially considering that Guatemala, Tokyo was one of the fan favorites of the competition. Again, if you looked on social media, people wouldn't rank her any lower than the top 5. Honestly, I don't know exactly what it was because I feel like there was a lot of hype about her. She's a girl who has international experience already. But in terms of the actual performance, there were moments that were key in determining, the rankings, especially during prelims, certain moments during finals. And I feel like those were missed opportunities for Tokyo to just present herself under a better light. Sometimes the performance was okay, but lacked in certain areas. And sometimes she could have just done more in terms of the looks or the styling. And I thought, that she could have done better in certain areas. But to be quite honest, even considering those things, I thought that she will go as far as the top 12 at least. But no, surprisingly, she only made it into the top 24. So let me know how do you guys feel about that in the comment section down below. Now, my final shock for the top 12 is not necessarily about one candidate, but about a whole continent. I'm going to say that I was a little bit shocked to see that there was no African representation within the top 12 of Miss Supranational this year, especially considering that there were a couple of delegates that were doing so well in the competition up until this point. We had, of course, South Africa, which honestly, as a country, South Africa is always very consistent internationally in most pageant systems. But I mean, specifically here in Supranational, we had great speaker, intelligent, we had a performer. We can also talk about Zambia, who was making kind of like, for the first time, they obtained a placement within the top 24, so that's already excellent. But I was expecting Miss Supranational Zambia to be able to advance further in the competition, considering that she was such a stunner in terms of her looks. She was so tall. She managed to win the title for the Supramodel Africa. So this was a girl who was not only beautiful and tall and whatnot, but she was also being recognized in different areas of the competition. So for me, I thought this will grant at least like a top 12 placement. There was, of course, Nigeria and Zimbabwe, who both kind of ended up being overlooked completely from the top 24. And listen, I'm just throwing names of girls that I thought had the potential, that had what it takes to kind of get a little bit more recognition. I do understand that not all four of them could have been in the top 12, because obviously it was a very competitive year at Supranational this year, and girls from all different continents, were showing out. But I thought, my God, at least one girl, two girls from Africa could have made it, just to kind of, balance things out. Also understanding that Supranational doesn't have necessarily the continental ranking or the continental system that Miss World does. But, those were just some of my thoughts, in my opinions, because immediately as the show was happening, I could see it on social media. I could feel it, the upset and disappointment from, pageant fans from Africa who were hyping and supporting these girls all throughout the competition up until this point. And in fairness, I do have to recognize also that, African delegates, not just in Supra, but in different pageant systems, usually have it the hardest when it comes to obtaining placements, not just because of the challenges that they need to face during a competition, but even because of the challenges that they need to face before they get to the competition in terms of obtaining visas and resources and financing and just going through the ups and downs. So I thought, you know what? I was hoping for at least one or two placements in the top 12, but it wasn't the case. To be honest, I'm also not pointing the finger to Supra. I feel like for the most part, they've been pretty fair. I haven't seen anything sketchy going on. So I guess it was just like, I hope for something else. Let me know. You can sound off on that down below. Okay, we are moving on to the next round of the competition, and that is the top 12 Q&A. And for that, I'm going to get my headphones and I'm going to get my glasses, because I'm going to be giving you a live reaction to this, as I want to share some of my opinions when it comes to the actual performance of the girls. We'll see. So I'm just going to share my screen here and let's go. Let's see how they did.
So we'll just slowly pull the mic away.
Okay, so I have to say, like, 20 seconds is like wicked. 20 seconds is nothing. You barely have enough time to think about the answer. Like, they just give you the question, you have to think about the answer, deliver it, and hit the 20-second mark. That was definitely a challenge. And, well, I have thoughts, but let's wait for the answers.
First up is Ukraine.
I was raised in the poverty, but it never stopped me dreaming big. And now I'm the content creator with over than 1.5 million audience, the founder of one of the largest charity fund in Ukraine, who is helping more than 22,000 families annually. And I'm the person who wanted to make global changes and influence.
Thank you, Ukraine.
Okay, so for Miss Ukraine, I think that she managed to stay within her time, gave a pretty substantial answer. I mean, she presented herself pretty well. By the way, when I mentioned earlier that this is a Q&A, it's actually like a statement round where the girls get to like present themselves and kind of like pitch why they should be the next Miss Supranational type of thing. It's not really like an actual question. So I think that overall, she did well considering the pressure and the time restriction.
Next up, we have the United States.
Being Miss Supranational is not only about taking up space, it also means creating space as well. As a woman in the military, I've learned service, discipline, and strength, and I create space where there is not. So I want to continue to champion women to take up space wherever they are, because you are a woman and that's a superpower. Thank you.
You know what? Honestly, I really like her answer, because I feel like she hit a lot of different points that are kind of strategic in towards, the Miss Supranational type of answer, and just selling herself as a potential ambassador and title holder. I do feel like because of the time restraints, again, the 20 seconds is wicked. She was rushing it. Like there were parts of it that I could barely understand just now. And that I know what she said because I was there in person. I have watched this before and now I'm reviewing it for you guys. So I had like several, moments to kind of digest all of this. But it was a little bit rushed. Someone watching from home or someone that maybe English is not their first language, which some of the people in the judging panel are, might not get this like firsthand. So you have to keep those things in mind when you are delivering. Sometimes it's better to edit and keep it shorter than to try to put a lot of information within 20 seconds and then perhaps confuse some of the judges.
Iceland, speak from your heart.
As a woman who comes from Iceland, where equality is a necessity, I can proudly say that I would carry this title with kindness, respect, resilience, and honor. Thank you.
Honestly, Miss Iceland was probably the girl who used the least her time. She still had 8 seconds available when she stopped out of 20 seconds. I mean, she only used 12 seconds of her time, but she delivered a simple, clear, straight to the point answer. So honestly, I cannot even blame her for this. I prefer something like this and not something that will get a little bit confusing for everyone else.
Thank you, Iceland.
Next up, we have Czech Republic.
I'm not here just to wear a crown. I'm here to use it, to inspire, to connect, to lead with purpose. With experience, heart, and create a vision, I'm ready to be a modern top model, for modern role model, for not only one country.
Oh, I've got to cut it short. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so for Miss Czech Republic, I feel like she was a little bit in her head. Like it was going all well up until the point that she mixed the top model with role model, and then you can kind of see it in her face that, oop, I made a little boo-boo. It was a good answer up until that point, and then of course she was caught by the time limit. But other than that, I mean, can you blame her? The pressure on stage is a lot, and the 20-second mark is scary.
For not one.
Thank you.
Philippines, you are up.
This journey changed me. It has strengthened my vision and aspiration of letting Filipino excellence shine through me as your next Miss Supranational. And that is to inspire, to serve, and to show you what this Filipina can do. And I can't wait to embark this super journey with you. Dziękuję.
Honestly, I am so proud of Tara because ever since she competed in Miss Universe Philippines, one of the things that everyone will point out is communication skills, communication skills, communication skills. And this girl has clearly put in the work to really excel and really improve in her craft. And I think that this is the perfect example of that. This was beautifully said, impactful, substance, and confidence on stage. Good job, Tara.
And I can't wait to embark.
Next up, we have Costa Rica.
I represent more than just a title. I represent a mission. I changed the history of my country, becoming the first Black woman who won Señorita Costa Rica crown. And I know that together we can keep making history around the world. Let my story be a reminder that together we can keep making history. And no voice is so small and no dream is too big. Thank you.
Honestly, Miss Costa Rica is one of my favorite delegates of the badge. I mean, she's just beautiful, such a professional in her presence, her walk, and everything. And I think that her answer here was just perfect. I mean, talking about being the first Black woman to win the Señorita Costa Rica title in her country and just making history in that sense. And other than the things that I already know and saw myself firsthand during the competition, I think that she was a potential candidate for the crown. Again, she kind of had the same situation as Miss USA, trying to put so much information in so little time. So it was a little bit unclear, a little bit rushed. I wouldn't blame some of the judges if they didn't get it fully. But, I mean, again, perfect answer.
Let my story be a no dream.
Next,
Curacao, oh my God.
Throughout my professional journey, I've learned that strength not just only lives in rising, but it lives in climbing and taking others with you. With this platform, I will be building bridges and letting the world know that every story needs to be heard. And when I become the next Miss Supranational as a Black proud woman, I will not only make the organization stronger, more radiant.
Okay, so Miss Curacao had that incident again with the timing. The 20 seconds, my God, but I get it. It's a TV show, so we need to get through it fast. I mean, I love the answer. I love the fact that in the very beginning, you could feel a little bit of nerves, a little bit of tension. And then the more that she was answering, the more confident and just powerful she was getting. She talked about, bringing others with her, being the first Black woman from her country to kind of like represent and win this title. Um, it's just like so meaningful, so impactful. Again, she was caught by the time limit, but the answer per se was great.
I will not.
Next up, we have Bolivia.
Okay, let's go, Bolivia.
A woman with a crown must be real, with principle, values, and the advocacy of service. And I'm here today to shine not because of my dress, but because of who I am and the impact I can have. Because when a woman with principles and with purpose, sorry.
That's all right.
Because when a woman
Oh, I've got to end it there. Well done. No, you had it.
Oh my God. Okay, Miss Bolivia, again, a victim of the time, but also a victim of the memory. I don't encourage girls to learn by heart this type of speeches, this type of moments. And the girls knew that they would be asked something along these lines on stage. Like all of them knew, right? So they all had to prepare for this moment. So I don't encourage the girls to learn by heart, because if you get nervous, if you're too anxious, you will forget and this will happen. Again, there was no time for her to recover from this. It's only 20 seconds and the time was up.
You had it. Thank you.
And now, Germany.
I want to be the next Miss Supranational because Supra means to go above and beyond borders and differences. Growing up as a multicultural woman and with a cultural understanding, I aspire to build bridges between nations, and I want to continue working with my advocacy about combating malnutrition. I am ready to be the next brand ambassador who uplifts and
Oh, so
I love my girl Anna. Anna, I love you so much, girl. I remember being there at the venue, this particular moment, and I was like, yes, girl, you tell them. I could feel Anna raising her voice as they were taking the microphone. And you know what? Again, so many girls struggle with the 20-second limit. I am so proud of Anna because she gave her best. I mean, from the beginning until the final moment when they took away the mic, she didn't hesitate. It was clear, it was straight to the point, it was purposeful. There were, substance in the answer. So I feel like the only thing that you could point out was the time limit. But there were no stumbles, no hesitation, no nerves, no nothing. Look at the smile. She knows she did well. She just hopes she had more time.
we have to cut them short.
It's a painful job. So
Somebody's got to do it,
words
yeah.
to say.
All right. Next up, we have United Kingdom and go.
Ooh.
I am a genuine woman with a passion to inspire others. My mission for the past 5 years has to empower. I have reached over 10,000 children with my workshops, and as Miss Supranational, I plan to continue that impact and inspire the next generation. Thank you.
Perfect. Nothing to criticize, nothing wrong. I mean, she had ample time to finish. The message was there. She hit every single point. She gave her arguments. She justified it. Perfect. She is such a beauty queen, and I love her for that.
And now, Brazil. My journey is about my commitment to never forget who I am, where I came from, and where I want to go. I'm a woman who faces fears with courage, dedication, and I always do my best in everything I choose to do. I believe everything happens at the right time, and this is a time to show that Brazilians never give up. Thank you so much.
All right, so I am so proud of Miss Brazil, and I will say this because, I mean, being there since day one in the competition and all of that, I knew for a fact that Miss Brazil was a little bit of like camera shy when it comes to the communication skills because she is more comfortable in Portuguese. As you can see, she does speak English, but she's slightly more comfortable in Portuguese. So when we had this particular statement moment, right, which is timed and you have to make a statement, I was like, I don't know how she's going to handle that. But in fairness, she did very well. Look at that smile over there. She knew that, oh my God, she just got through a huge challenge in the competition. She overcame a huge obstacle in her journey towards the crown. So great job. All right. So I'm going to put the headphones aside because that is pretty much it when it comes to this particular round of the competition in terms of the candidates having to answer the statement round. It's not a Q&A, once again, it's just kind of a statement where they need to defend themselves and express why they should be the next Miss Supranational. So basically, right after this moment, we moved on right away to the evening gown round. So once again, all of the top 12 got to present themselves, and I would like to share some of my insights when it comes to this particular round, which can be so important in my opinion. Okay, so the first one on the runway was Miss Bolivia, which honestly, I loved her look and I thought that she gave us one of her best performances so far in the entire competition. Following her, we had Miss Brazil, which came out with a very simple look, but so much confidence, so much power. She didn't have to do the most on stage to stand out because she was just carrying that winning aura that night. Up next, we have Miss Czech Republic, who had a great gown. She had quite a simple performance, if I'm being honest, but still very graceful. And if there was something that I needed to point out, it will be the hair needed a little bit of retouching, like a little bit more work on the hair. Right after Czech Republic, we had Miss Costa Rica, divine in white. I love the design of the gown. I love the performance. I love the hairstyle. Just perfect. There's nothing to criticize in my opinion. Miss Curacao was next, and honestly, the face card never declined. Impossible. It cannot happen. I thought that she looked very beautiful in pink. I think that it's one of her colors. I love the dress and the performance as well. Although I did wish that there was a little bit more of detail on the lower part of the dress, especially on the sides. I don't know if you see what I'm saying. Up next, we have Germany. Anna looked like a goddess. Honestly, I feel like Anna had one of the most beautiful faces in the entire competition. So already that was kind of a given. And also the fact that she comes from so much experience nationally and internationally. She is an alumni of Binibining Pilipinas after all, and also competed at the Miss Globe. So she knows how to carry herself very beautifully on stage. So I was very happy with her delivery. Miss Iceland, the human Barbie, simple, classy, timeless. I love the color and the bows on the arms as well. For Philippines, Tara, I just have to say, wow. The colors, the design, the performance, the makeup and hair, everything was perfect from head to toe. I feel like Tara knew that she needed to come out with a boom, and this dress was exactly what I wanted. Let's talk about Miss Puerto Rico, who was technically perfect from every angle. She embodies exactly what comes to mind when I think of a Puerto Rican beauty queen. I mean, from the grace to the performance to technique, everything was there. Miss Ukraine had a beautiful gown, very creative. I love the design, but she did suffer in some of the technical areas, which is something that I already mentioned before, so it shouldn't be a surprise. Miss United Kingdom, great performance, great performer, beautiful gown. Yellow and blue was not necessarily my favorite combination, but still, I think that she managed to pull it off very, very well. Miss USA, she looked incredible, but I did think that the look was a little bit safe, especially considering that she always brought an edge with her performances all throughout the competition. So to bring out this final gown, it wasn't like a bad decision by any means, but just different from what I expected. And so officially, everyone, that was the last performance of our top 12 before we made the final cut to the top 5, which ended up being as it follows. I will showcase it here on the screen for you guys. We had Miss Brazil, Germany, Curacao, Philippines, and Puerto Rico. In terms of surprises and shocks, to be quite honest, there weren't any. I thought that whoever made the final top 5 was very deserving and delivered all throughout the competition, but as well, more precisely during finals. Once that we had our final top 5, this led us to a very important moment in the competition, which is of course the final Q&A. So once again, I'll get my glasses and I'll get my headphones, and you get ready to give me your opinion on their performance in the comment section down below, as we are going to react in real time to whatever happened during the final Q&A. My God, now we have 30 seconds at least, so we have slightly a little bit more time.
Your time starts
So
now.
let's see.
What is the personal failure that has taught you a valuable lesson, and how did it change who you are today?
A personal failure that has shaped me was losing my self-worth, because it made me believe I wasn't enough and that I did not have a voice. And now I am here representing those that once felt invisible, that once did not feel strength. I am that person. Thank you.
Okay, so I mean, right off the bat, I think that Puerto Rico gave us a very clear simple and pretty straight to the point answer. To be quite honest, the one thing that I could point out about this answer is that it felt a little bit like slightly unrelatable because she is such a beautiful woman. She is such a standout. She is just like so many people's, like ideal, that it felt a little bit like, oh my God, she didn't feel like confident in herself, or like she didn't feel like she was enough. But once again, who are we to judge her experience? That was my only note. But other than that, again, clear, simple, straight to the point. So very good answer. Let's move on.
Thank you, Miss Puerto Rico. Next up, we have Philippines. And Philippines, your question is, many young people today struggle with confidence and self-worth. What advice would you give them to help them embrace who they are?
A lot of individuals would always bring you down. But I say this because I experienced this. But I was able to battle this by giving myself positive affirmations, such as I am worthy, I am capable, and I can do anything through my power and through my own voice. And that's what every individual should do to have their own self worth. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So when it comes to Miss Philippines, Tara, again, as I mentioned for the statement round, I was very impressed by her performance in the final Q&A segment. Once again, because for the longest time, the one thing that people would always point out about Tara was the communication skills. They will say she has the most beautiful face, she is a great performer, she knows how to carry herself, but the communication skills, she needs to work on that. And I feel like Tara did put in the work and she delivered. Was this performance flawless and without a stumble? No. There were a couple of instances where you could feel hesitation or like she stumbled on a couple of words, but ultimately I feel like she came through with her message, with the substance, with what was required from her for this particular moment. So personally, Tara, I am very proud of you, my girl. All right, let's move on.
Thank you, Philippines.
Next up, we have Brazil, and your question is, how do you
Brazil.
handle criticism, especially when it comes to being in the public eye, and what have you learned from it?
Along my journey, I learned about self-knowledge, and it's most important to know who you are and why I'm here. And doesn't matter what the other people say about you. When you know who you are, uh, everything's become more easy in your life. Thank you so much.
You know what? Honestly, I feel like this answer was great considering the comments that she was facing online about her communication skills and her English level. How do you manage public opinions and, just negativity overall? So just be confident in who you are, trust yourself, believe in yourself, whatever it is. Don't pay attention to others. So I think that she did a great job when it comes to that. Again, was the answer the most perfect spoken English that we've ever had on the stage of Miss Supranational? No, it wasn't. There were a couple of things you could feel like a couple of stumbles here and there. But for the most part, I feel like Eduarda gave us what we needed, what was required of her for this particular round. So very good, Ken.
Do
Curacao.
you want the world to remember about you, and why?
In a world that is getting so diverse, we still have so much more to do. And standing here today, I want to be that trailblazer for Curacao, for all the Black women, the first to do it, for all the small islands, and show them that even if you come from less circumstances, you can get resilience, you can be brave, and you can be strong and be the leader and become Miss Supranational 2025.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you guys straight. Curacao had, in my opinion, the best answer of the night. The confidence, the impact, I could feel her drive. I could feel how much she wanted this. And also within the venue, like the support for Curacao was really off the roof. So I feel like she was able to feed off that energy for this final moment. There isn't one thing that I will point out and say she could have done better here and there. No. Miss Curacao, you ate, you delivered. I'm so happy with your final answer. And we do have one last answer, which is, of course,
Thank you,
Miss Germany.
Right, next up we have Germany. Describe a time when you felt deeply grateful. How did that moment change your perspective own life?
Just a couple of
Very
months
good.
ago,
Let's see.
I worked with Caritas Manila, and one thing that I remember was little girl coming up to me and asked me to hug her, and I said yes. And so many other little kids came up to me and came in for the hug, and this showed me the compassion and showed me that my From the Ground Up project is more than just love. It is compassion. It shows dignity, and I want to show the world that we're all here to show respect, love, and dignity when we come in together in supranational unity.
Woo! I'm so proud of my girl. I am so proud of my girl. I mean, Anna, again, I got to be, I had a couple of Q&A segments with Anna, you know, for her, towards her training towards Miss Supranational before she even went to Poland. And I can see so much improvement when it comes to Anna. I mean, just the way that she has been able to manage her ideas, her thoughts, and organize everything in a, you know, concise, precise, and cohesive way. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I feel like she was rushing a little bit because of the incident during the statement round, but in the end, for the Q&A, she was able to deliver her full answer with the impact that she wanted to have. And I feel like you can just look at her face, look at that smile. She knows that she did that. So good job, Anna. I'm so proud of you, girl. All right, so there you have it when it comes to the final Q&A round. This will determine, of course, the overall outcome of the competition. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you this because a lot of people think that Q&A determines who becomes the fourth, third, second, first runner-up, and it's not really the case. You know, in a lot of international pageant systems, and I believe that this is also the case for Supra, they will take into consideration your full performance, not just during finals, but also during prelims, the different challenges, the activities, your interactions with the media, interactions with the staff. Everything goes towards the final score. So when it comes to the Q&A, I feel like it's just the cherry on top that determines, you know, maybe kind of changes a couple of placements. But for the most part, it's just, again, the cherry on top. Before we talk about the overall outcome of the competition, I would like to give a shout out to the Continental title holders, which we got to see also during this particular moment, which were for Europe, we had Miss Supranational Iceland, who ended up winning, super deserving. For the Caribbean, we have Dominican Republic. Caribel, my friend, so proud of you. You did that. Asia and Oceania, we had Miss Supranational Indonesia. Firsta was honestly very deserving. I have no complaints. She did such a great job considering that she was aiming for a back-to-back win. Miss Americas USA, I'm so happy. She was deserving. There was a point in the competition during the concentration where I thought maybe she will be a winner. So I'm happy to see her getting recognition. And for Africa, we had Miss Supranational Zambia. So at least I'm very happy that my girl got some of that recognition, that she went home, you know, of course, making history for the top 24. She got the Supra Model Award for Africa, and then she also got the Continental title for Africa. So namakau nawa, my girl, I'm so proud of you. Zambia kuchalo. Okay, let's go. Just to wrap this up, I know that I've been talking like forever, but I wanted to give you guys a detailed, you know, fully charged with a lot of insights and behind the scenes scoops, kind of recap review for Miss Supranational 2025 final placements. As a fourth runner-up, we had Miss Puerto Rico. As a third runner-up, we had Philippines. Second runner-up, Curacao. First runner-up, Germany. And our Miss Supranational 2025 is Eduarda Braum from Brazil. How do I feel about this ranking? Honestly, I am happy with it. I feel like everyone gave their absolute best. And up until this point, it was just picking and choosing whoever the judges wanted. At this point, my personal feelings and opinions really had no impact at this point. So it's really who the judges can envision for the role. All of these girls were extra prepared, extra beautiful, extra smart, extra well-spoken. I mean, when it comes to Puerto Rico, as I said, she's the quintessential beauty queen that comes to mind when I think of a Boricua. Tara exceeded so many people's expectations, and she was just incredible from A to Z. Performance, com skills, looks, you name it. Curacao, one of the most beautiful faces in the competition, such an impactful speaker. I mean, she has that drive, like she really wanted to prove something for Curacao, but also to herself. So I'm very happy that she went so far. For Germany, for Anna, again, extremely beautiful face, Binibining Pilipinas alumni, competed internationally already. I feel like she did so well, especially, you know what, I'm gonna call it out here. Anna did so well, especially considering the amount of bashing that she was getting online for something that she didn't even say herself. Again, for something that she didn't even say herself. So that could have so easily taken a mental toll on her and distracted her from the competition. So the fact that she was able to go this far, I'm so proud of Anna. And of course, our winner from Brazil, our Miss Supranational 2025, Eduarda Braum. What do I feel about her? Exactly what I told you earlier. You know, when they look for a winner, they look for the overall package. They look at your behaviors, they look at your comp skills, they look at your performances, they look at your looks, they look at your height, they look at how you interact with others. And although there were certain areas that people could point out, for example, the fact that she was not so fluent in English as she was in Portuguese, it doesn't really matter because the girl had such a complete package to offer. She was like a triple thread in every single angle aspect that you will analyze her. This girl was perfect. And most importantly, you know, if you forget the beauty and whatnot, she was so genuine, so kind, so present every single time that for me personally, I'm extremely happy to see that she was able to get to this point and this recognition. I guess that's a wrap for Miss Supranational 2024, 25. Oh my god. You guys, let me know in the comment section, how do you feel about the entire competition? I know that I talked about a lot of different things, so please go ahead and, you know, express yourself as well. If you want me to comment on specific candidates, let me know. I'm more than happy to do so. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to please drop a like on this video. I've been talking for like over an hour. Comment, subscribe to the channel, and share with others so that we can get the message to other people. Stay tuned because I will also be reviewing the Mr. Supranational show, which I got to be a backstage host for that. So I do have a couple of insights as well for you guys. Again, thank you for watching. See you guys on the next one. Bye.